Hi, this is Johan, back again with another UFO story from Norway. And this story has the title Strange Aircraft Spotted in ASBYGDA. Tuesday, October the 25th, 1977 was a day which the two 14-year-old boys, Myhr from Holmestrand and Sverre Mandt from Prestfoss, will never forget. The time was 5:30 in the afternoon when they saw an unidentified flying object. It came hovering slowly along the hillside at a low altitude above a field. About 100 meters from the school, it stopped abruptly and landed on the newly plowed ground. The boys were scared and ran towards the school, and they saw the object take off after about 10 seconds. The object was light green colored with portholes, and they thought they saw the contour of a figure in one of the portholes. The ALM school is located near the top of the hillside beside the main road number 241, above Gamleveien in ASBYGDA, outside Prestfoss, a small city by the Oslo fjord. It was dusk, but with a comparatively good sight. It landed with 3 supporting legs, and the two boys observed the craft quite clearly in the light from its windows. They cannot describe the figure they spotted inside the craft in detail, but it resembled a human being, and it seemed that they were watched. By that time the boys had had enough. They started to run towards the school, but they noticed that the strange aircraft took off and disappeared over the hillside towards southeast. The day after, they could point out 3 landing prints in the field from the UFO. The prints had the same distance from each other, with a diameter of 6.60 meters. The prints were very clear and about 10 to 15 centimeters deep. In additional confirmation of the fact that something strange had appeared in the sky above ASBYGDA Tuesday afternoon came 10 minutes later after the boys' observation. One of the adults working at the ALM school, who wants to be anonymous, was on duty and was inside the living quarters. One of the pupils, a 14-year-old Agvald Elling Ingvaldsen, came störting in and was repeatedly shouting, "UFO! UFO!" The man runs out into the square in front of the school, and coming from the north he sees a brightly shining object flying above the tops of the trees, just above the place where the boys 10 minutes earlier had seen the flying craft. It came cruising at a low speed, totally soundless. It was difficult to see due to the bright light, but the man assumed that the object was circular and with a neutral color. After, say, 20 to 30 seconds, it disappeared over the hill. This was in fact correspondingly with the rising of the moon. Thursday, October the 27th, the Supreme Command of the Army announced that something suspicious had been seen above Gardermoen, a large military airport. At the time, the two boys made their observation. A yellowish light was seen in the sky Tuesday afternoon, and experts agree that this only confirms the activity above ASBYGDA the same day. As early as Wednesday evening, October the 26th, NUFOC, NUFOC, it's a Norwegian UFO research organization, was on the spot, represented by Mr. Dag Heim. Due to the darkness, it was not possible to do the necessary investigations, but Thursday morning he measured, photographed and collected samples of the Earth at the landing site. In the evening, an army representative arrived with a Geiger counter, but it didn't show any activity. Mr. Kjell Christensen in NUFOC has done measurements of the pH value of the Earth and samples and compared this to the pH values in the Earth elsewhere in the field. With a pH value of 4.7 inside the triangulum itself, that was made by the prints and 5.3 50 meters outside it. There is absolutely no doubt that something had been on the spot. In earlier suspected UFO landings in Norway, these two investigations done by Kjell R also have shown that the Earth contained more acid inside the prints than outside. And with a difference as great as in this case, it cannot be a coincidence. pH value measured with radiometer 28, 50 meters outside the print 5.3, 10 meters outside the print 5.1, and 5 meters 5.2, at the print 1 meter inside 4.7, 2 meters 5, 3 and 4 meters inside 5. The print's dimensions: length 36 centimeters, at the widest 14.5, at the most narrow 7.5 centimeters, and depth 10 centimeters. On the basis of the prints, the craft's largest diameter is estimated to be about 12 meters. Height of the cabin 6.5 meters. The following drawings show the boys' conception of the aircraft. To the left we have a drawing by Sverre Mandt, and to the right by Myhr. It appears that the aircraft that landed in ASBYGDA has an astonishing resemblance with a similar one, which landed at Puerto Herrera in Spain, August 16, 1970. We have got reason to believe that the dome on the ASBYGDA UFO did not have portals, neither on the dome nor around the circular band. The boys would hardly glimpse any figure through such small portals. Probably the dome was semi-transparent as on the UFO in Spain. The circular band around the Spanish UFO had shining spots all around, and a top light which rotated when standing on the ground. Probably the boys have taken these shining spots for portals, taking into consideration the short time they observed the UFO, about 1 minute. I just want to add some comments here. You see, when reading about this, you see the speculation. This is all assumptions and speculations. They talk about that the boys couldn't see anything, and they talk about that this is the same craft as a UFO that was spotted in Spain in the 1970s. So the boys didn't say anything about rotating lights, and there isn't anything about that the portals were very small. So it's just an assumption that they say that the boys didn't see any portals, they just saw shining spots of light on the craft, like the one in Spain. So, let's continue. The UFO that landed in Spain. Width about 4 meters, height 2.5 meters, dome crystallic, almost transparent. Colors silvery dome. On top of it there was a blue-white light, slowly rotating. You know, the boys didn't report anything about a blue-white light, blue-white, slowly rotating. Neither of the colors white, purple and yellow. Actually, the boys reported of a green light. So the fact that the investigators actually say that it was the same UFO as the one in Spain is quite curious. And also, from the UFO report, in Spain there was a humanoid that was seen standing 3 to 4 meters from the craft. He was about 1.80 meters tall. That's quite normal for a human being, won't you say? More UFOs. It has also been confirmed that more people have seen mysterious objects about ASBYGDA Saturday evening, November the 5th. And all the witnesses assure that it cannot have been any sort of an airplane. This is from a local newspaper. Two of these witnesses are attorney Willy Ruud and engineer Steinar Dalbu, both living at Skau in ASBYGDA. They both are familiar with aircraft and assure that it was not an airplane they saw above ASBYGDA Saturday evening. Both are convinced that it was real UFOs in action. In this connection, says Dalbu, that earlier he didn't believe in the UFO stuff, but now he does not doubt the reality behind it any longer. He observed a brightly shining object through a powerful telescope, and when he saw some circular spheres with volts, the four objects flew in formation. Together with his neighbors, he watched them for about half an hour. Wow, that's a long time to see UFOs. After this, the globes disappeared over the hillside. Okay. We shall refer to what other eyewitnesses have to tell. Øyvind Torp from Vesterud in ASBYGDA tells us that he was standing by the window at 5:30 p.m. the same Tuesday and looked at the hillside. Suddenly he was aware of a bright and shining light which came flying at a tremendous speed from the south and disappeared northwards towards Jevnaker. The speed was so great that the whole phenomenon looked like a long, luminous tail. In a couple of seconds it was gone, but the whole hillside was illuminated. Another observation which may indicate that a UFO has been in the area. Tuesday afternoon, the newspaper Ringeriks Blad writes on the October 28th. The two 14-year-old boys saw a UFO land by Alm School. The craft took off and proceeded southward along the hillside. After some 10 minutes, one of the workers at the school did see a circular object which radiated a powerful light over the same area. It came from the north and went southwards. If it was the same UFO, it must have returned. Vesterud is situated, say, 2 kilometers further south in ASBYGDA. Could it have been the same UFO that Øyvind Torp sighted on its way back to the place where it first had landed? Has the UFO been seen also from Vikersund Tuesday evening? Again, it is Ringerikes Blad, dated November the 1st, which is asking the question, and tells about a flying object which almost shaved the roofs of the neighbors 50 yards away. It looked rather like an outdoor lamp in motion. The yellow circular light seemed to be situated above Tyrifjorden, a large freshwater fjord, and it slided slowly and soundlessly in the direction from Ask towards Røyse. Now, here we have a report of a yellowish light. So, maybe there were several objects. Several different objects, actually. Seems like that. 3 witnesses were watching the light for about 1 minute, just after 6:30 p.m. at Tuesday. It was just afterwards that an object was seen in the air from Odli at Hønefoss. The witnesses didn't reflect on their observations until they saw the UFO news in Ringerikes Blad. Also Wednesday, October 26th, the mysterious light was seen above ASBYGDA, tells Unni Gundhus to the newspaper. When she came driving from Hønefoss in the direction of Hen, where there is an excellent view of ASBYGDA, she caught sight of an intense bright light which just stood there in the sky. The time was about 5:30 in the afternoon. Her observation was done exactly 24 hours after the UFO sighting at the Alm School. The newspaper Glåmdalen writes on October the 29th, UFO sighted at Grue and in the Oslo area. It is a question whether the strange flying object that was seen on Ringerike did not have its first landings here in Grue, tells Torstein Nesseter. My horse had run away, and I was out trying to catch it. When I returned homewards in the evening and was standing a couple of meters above Knappholsberget, I saw an oblong object hovering in the air, 2 to 3 meters above the road. You see, here is yet another object. This one is an oblong thing. Actually, to me it seemed more and more likely that there were several different objects that was doing things in the sky and the air and near the ground. Something very peculiar was going on. And let's continue. In one end it was shining red, and in the other end it looked like a common light bulb that was shining. When I walked out on the road not far from the object, it looked to me as being circular and shiny as the moon. Then I wasn't very far from it. The exact site of observation was Reidar Onsteds vei down to Ognås and further ahead via Knappholsberget. 2 ladies from Brandval also saw something strange in the sky Tuesday afternoon, about 5 minutes after the 2 boys had seen the UFO land on Ringerike, ASBYGDA. The ladies came from Oslo, and on the main road where the road to Gjelleråsen is leaving, they suddenly got sight of an object in the sky. They recall that it was green-colored and it moved slowly from east to west. The report from ASBYGDA is written basically from extracts of the press reports from an UFO division east by Elbjørg Fjellberg. Further information from Dagheim and the research section by Tom Runar Lembe, together with Kjell Christensen. Wow. That was a great story. And with a lot of witnesses, and as usual, a lot of speculation. You have the witness report and you have the speculation. So, quite interesting. And let's continue to the next story. And this story has the title Prints on Roof of Cottage. It's kind of an interesting story from a place called Homborsund. A lot of people travel there for the vacation. There's a lot of cabins and cottages all over the place. And it's nearby the sea. And it's a quite nice place to be in the summertime. Let's start the story. Here it comes. The actual prints are made during the winter in 1980. They consist mainly of 2 almost concentric semi-elliptical tracks on a cottage roof covered by asphalt shingles. The cottage is situated 300 meters west of the lighthousetower at Homborsund, a place between the 2 small towns Lillesand and Grimstad in the southern part of Norway. The keeper of the lighthouse tower at Homborsund, Mr. Kjell Larsen, observed in January at 12:30 am a light source with a spherical form. It appeared to him the size of the moon, the light source having no distinct contours was emitting a pulsating red and yellow light. It approached from the east past the lighthouse tower at an altitude of approximately 150 meters. Circulated above the islets west of the lighthouse tower, stopped twice, passed the lighthouse tower again and rapidly disappeared northwards. This observation may be connected with the actual prints. These prints were discovered by the owner of the cottage, chemistry engineer Fred Myhr, when the roof began to leak. Alright, members of the NUFOC, a Norwegian UFO Research Society, inspected the roof in July and was later permitted to remove the shingles with prints. These are now attached to a plywood board situated at NUFOC's research section in Trondheim. I don't actually know if this NUFOC organization still exists, but I will try to figure it out. The prints are the most remarkable and robust tracks up to now examined by NUFOC. The NUFOC research section tries to find out what can possibly create such marks. Excuse me. First, we contacted the manufacturer of the asphalt shingles, Isola Fabrikker, to be informed about the production process and physical properties of the shingles. First, limestone powder is mixed into oxidized asphalt. This mass is put on ragfelt. While this board being warm, clay, slate and sand are strewed on the top and underside respectively. Finally, the board is cut into square tiles. The red color of the slate is achieved by burning into it ferruginous powder. The slope of the roof is 17 degrees. The prints consist of two slightly elliptical rings, approximately 10 mm wide, with radii approximately 86 cm and 114 cm, respectively, and their centers located 5 cm apart, almost at the edge of the eaves. The center of this outer ring is clearly marked in the shingles. Right below the centers, on the eaves board, there are two wide vertical stripes where the painting has disappeared. In addition to the rings, there are a lot of surface pits being spread, the largest about 10 mm across. Both the pits and the rings seem to have been burned into the asphalt shingles. The intensity of burning varies along the tracks. In the middle, some sort of boiling seemed to have taken place. At the ends, the slate shippings are kept, but the color has turned white. A grey, thin stripe can be seen in the tracks, especially where the boiling effect is strongest. The pits, too, seem to be a result of a boiling process in the asphalt. NUFOC's first investigation was to ascertain if there are any elements added or removed from the printed area. For this purpose, we used an ARL SEMQ electron beam microprobe connected to a computer. This instrument determines the elements by means of spectral analysis. 6 samples from the roof was taken, giving us all the various states of the asphalt shingles. Graphically, we got the line spectra of the different samples. Additionally, the elements by name, the energy and counts of the various spectral lines were written out. Comparing the results from the samples, we could not find any difference, unless some chlorine in a sample from the tracks, which probably comes from the salt in the seawater. A light element below the range of the instrument seemed to be missing in the tracks, probably oxygen, being consumed by heat of some kind. Finding the chemical composition in the tracks not to differ from normal. We exclude a lot of ways in which the marks could have been made, thus taking into consideration the wind and rain washing during half a year. The samples are studied through optical and electron microscopes, and several pictures are taken. Even a stereo test microscope is used. It is still uncertain whether there is any connection between the circles and the pits, but extensive microscopic studies indicate that a connection may be established in the near future. The small pits have proved most interesting in that the inner diameter below the surface is greater than the surface opening itself. It is of the principal interest to try and determine how these pits were created. There being no apparent evidence of sharp instruments being used, speculative suggestions including heat lasers and lasers are to be investigated later. The research program is still in its first stage, and most of the work has involved microscopically mapping certain areas of the roof. The second stage is expected to indicate any possible causes of the markings, whilst the final stage will present a discussion of results and statements of conclusions. And here we have a picture of the cottage roof with prints and the UFO models. As you can see, there are circular or curved lines parallel to each other. Quite strange. And this is a part of the rings which looks like it has been boiling from the heat emitted possibly by the UFO. Wow. This is crazy stuff, right? Think about it. This object came over the lighthouse, stopped twice, estimated to be 150 meters up in the air. That's not too far. When this person saw the object, it was the same size as the moon. Of course, not literally, but since it was so close. Okay. Hope you like the story. Next time we will continue with the series, and next time we'll start reading from the second edition of the Nordic UFO newsletter. And what's special about the next story is that it's told or sent in by a famous Norwegian musician, Mr. Finn Kalvik. And the title of the story is A CEI Report from Namdalen. CEI? Not sure what it stands for, but I'll find out until then. But I'll give you a little teaser. And it goes like this. On the road southwards from the Namdalen Valley, at about 1 o'clock p.m., we suddenly caught sight of an object which flew beside the car at a distance of about 40 to 50 meters. The object kept pace with our car at exactly 100 kilometers per hour. So, what happens next? We'll just have to come back for the next video. Hear the rest of the story. Okay. Until then, take care.